Welcome to Bookmas Day number 2. This evening, I've decided to give myself a little bit of a challenge in 2024 by creating my own board game. And this is totally inspired by Becca. I will leave her channel down below. She's like the inventor of Bookopoly, but I'm kind of making this into my own game that's gonna work for my shelf in fantasy romance and like some of the challenges that I want to accomplish this year. So I've just made a little trip to Hobbycraft here in London. I went into Hobbycraft tonight to get scrapbooking paper because I wanted just like a bunch of different options to make this really pretty, and there were literally 3 options, and they were British Summertime, Edwardian Lady, or the British Natural History Museum. So I went with Edwardian Lady.
Oh.
Smudge Podge. Edwardian Lady. Some markers. I've got some foil paper. I probably won't use all of this, but just to be prepared. Some pretty stuff. And then I actually... Where's my... I love doing planners, and I've been doing... Yeah, I love stickers. I love stickers so much, and I have very excessive planners that I've never really shared before. I've shared like a little bit on my Instagram a few years ago, but like, look, for instance, these are some of my Christmas sticker kits. So I want to like go through my sticker box and see what I could possibly pull out. Like I have little coffee stickers for when I have nice coffees. I have just all sorts of fun things in here. So this is what I'm doing tonight. I'm probably gonna drink some wine.
No.
Yes. Yeah, so let's get started. This is taking way longer than I thought it would take. It is 11 o'clock and I've been working on this for like 2.5 hours, and I still have all of this side to do. I need to decorate the middle, and then I need to figure out what I want to do along the edges. Good morning. I have not been this excited to wake up and do something for myself in such a long time. Doing this board, this like silly TBR Monopoly inspired board game, has just been like the most therapeutic fun time. I don't know, but I spent like 3.5 hours on it last night. I need to finish it this morning while I have my coffee, and then I can't wait to talk about it with you because I'm just gonna have so much fun with this, and I think it's so important because, I mean, it's not really important, like it's books we're talking about, but in terms of like TBRs, if you know me, then you know that I am not a list person. I don't like giving myself, you know, specific books that I have to read, TBR lists that I have to do. I make lists of like wants and desires, but trying to like stick to a TBR jar, hello, I did that last year. I wrote down every single book that was on my shelf and put it in my Daddy Wrath from Kingdom of the Wicked jar, and I would pull 1 or 2, and I even just then, just because I pulled the book, I would like rebel against myself and be like, I don't want to read it, you know? So this is so much more fun than that. I have all these different prompts that allow me and you and others to choose what I read, but also allows me to mood read within all the prompts. I need to finish it, need to like choose what I'm gonna put in the middle, tell you what this envelope's all about, and then we're gonna go through it because I want January to come already. I want to do this game in January. So it's actually called The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. My husband would hate that accent. I need to pick one out though. Something that gives off Lord of the Rings vibes. Maybe that one. Not that. Not that. Potentially, I think we need to go back. That's pretty. Did I already use that one? This one. Let's do this one.
Anyone have a camera? Oh. Yes. Give me like an arm. Okay. Got it. News we're going with? What do you think? No, shoes later. As well as jewels.
What?
I'm like obsessed with this. I'm so excited to tell you what all 40 spaces on my fun Monopoly board mean. And we're just gonna like start with start, okay? So down here, which would be like go and like past go in Monopoly. If I use little Bellatrix Lestrange, she would just like hop along as I roll the die. But anyway, so the first one is a 2023 release. I have so many of these on my shelf, obviously. So obviously if I land on here, I'm reading any book, any fantasy book that I want that was released in 2023. Okay, and then like in place of like community chest spaces and like some of the other spaces on the Monopoly board, I've put in like setting locations. So the first one says go to Asia, and I have this really cute sticker from a Mulan sticker kit that I use, so I can read any fantasy book. I mean, it doesn't have to be fantasy, but like fantasy is what I read. It's like on my shelf. That is set in an Asian inspired fantasy setting, and I have 6 off the top of my head that I could use from looking at my shelf for this one. And then the next space is a 2024 release, and then we're moving into like what I'm calling my adventure spaces. So again, removing some like the original play spaces from Monopoly, I've added in actions and like activities that go along with the book. Like these are my adventures. So the first one says it's giving spring, and this could be any book that I feel gives off spring vibes, and with that I have to do an activity to match the book. So it could be like even as simple as buying flowers, you know, to put in a vase on my kitchen table, or it could be going and having a picnic in Hyde Park. It could be going to a flower field here in England. It could be anything that I want it to be, but I need to like do an activity. And then in place of the train stations, I have added in my big series goals. These are series that have been on my TBR for the entirety of my YouTube channel life. And the first one, and this has been on my TBR since I was like 18, and that would be Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. So that's my series station number 1. I would have to start Outlander or continue on with it if I've already read it. And then we're moving into the red spaces, and this is just kind of straightforward. We have starting a new series, and then my next fun one is a guilty pleasure read, and I've added like my McDonald's cheeseburgers, fries, coffee, soda, donuts, ice cream stickers, because you know it's a sweet treat, it's very guilty. And then we have continuing on with a series, and then this one's actually pretty big. It's binging a series, so I have to read 3 or more books in a series. I have a few options on my shelf. This would be a great one to knock one of those off, and I added a little book stack and my espresso patronum sticker. So cute, I love it. And then my first corner space. These are bigger challenges where I have a little bit less control, and the first one we're easing into it, and that would be this blue one down here, which is a family and friends choice. And of course I added my little Tom Nook sticker just because it was cute. So I can choose anyone that's a family member or a friend, and they get to choose the book that I have to read. Yeah, that is a little bit nerve-wracking, but it'll be fun. And then we're moving into what I'm just calling like themes and vibes in the gold section. So the first one, let me like come closer so you can see this better. The first one is competition, and this could be any competition, either like a magical fight to the death, it could be between 2 rivals, it could be a bachelor situation, but whatever it is, it has to be very clear on the synopsis of the book that there's a competition element that's very heavy in the plot. And I just added some fun stickers in there for that. And then we're moving on to our next location setting, and that would be the Middle East. I have a lot of books that come to mind that are set in Egypt, that are Arabian. I have so many. So That's my second location. And then we're moving into spooky vibes. Any book that gives me spooky vibes, witches, vampires, you know, mystery. A fairy tale retelling. I have 6 or 7 on my shelf already that I need to get to. And then our second big series station is, of course, Game of Thrones. Whew, yeah, that's a big one. And then we're moving into more genre-based properties. We have science fiction, which of course I added my Grogu sticker. He's so cute. Historical romance. I have several. I have a little ink and quill and some teacups that were just giving historical romance vibes. And then we have my next little fun bit. So I had guilty pleasure read, and now this one on this line is it's giving Jane Austen. Read a classic. It could be any classic. I have several, again, on my shelf. That's like the phrase of today's video. I have several on my shelf, which is why I'm doing this game. And then our last one is a dark, taboo, or mafia romance. So basically anything that's like not supposed to be happening is happening in this space. So I've got a little lock and key. I got some silky pajama stickers, a bottle of wine, and a rose to fit that theme. And then our second square, our second corner, is giving a book or an author a second chance. This is one that I'm probably the least excited about, but one that I feel like I need to do because there are books on my shelf that really I just need to decide whether or not they're staying or going. Okay, now we're getting into some really fun stuff. So if I've made it around the first 2 sides, we are now on the third. And this first one just says Empress, Queen, and Princess because I just love books that take place with royalty. So this is easy, and I have a ton of them. So the main protagonist needs to be a princess, a queen, or an empress. And then we have our third setting location, and that would be to go to Europe. So I use this like kind of French inspired, that's like French or English, I don't know. It's just, she's just like having a nice European breakfast. Okay, so any setting that takes place or is inspired by somewhere in Europe. And then we have a few fun ones that I just wanted to throw in on this side. So we have Cozy Up. I use this like plush chair and some slippers and a little box of cookies, and this could just be any book that is giving cozy atmospheric vibes, and again I would need to do something to like match that. So I don't know what cozy could mean, but whatever I'm feeling is gonna fit. Same with Jane Austen, like, or even just like a classic in general. Like I live in England, there are castles I could explore while I'm reading this book. I could go to Bath and go to the Jane Austen Center and have tea, which I've done before, but like I could do things like that and just like gets me out of the house and doing something else while I'm living abroad. And then we have one that's really fun. It's called Teenage Ragan, and she has some big Beats headphones and her locker, and this is an option for me to read a book that 17-year-old me always wanted to read. For instance, anything by Cassandra Clare. I always wanted to read those books growing up. I never bought them. I never got around to them, but there are several other series that I can think of that I don't necessarily own, but potentially would take this opportunity to pick one of them up. Okay, our third big series station is Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit this year. I did not complete the rest of the book, so there it is right there. And then we're moving into some challenges. The next one on the board is 24 hours. So I use this cold brew coffee sticker. I use this cold brew coffee sticker, a little like tripod camera, and a breakfast sticker because I will read for 24 hours. And I'm not sure at this point whether or not this space means that I get to pick a book to read for 24 hours or if it has to be the book that I pull next, or maybe like you get to choose. I'm not sure, but it does mean that I will be reading for 24 hours. And then the next vibe, fun, adventure space is It's Giving Beach. So I used this very tropical, yummy looking breakfast sticker. And this could be like a pirate book, it could be mermaids, it could be a contemporary romance at a beach. Not that I own any of those, but again, this is like the point of this board, to give me choices, to give my mood reading just giving my mood reading like what it needs, you know what I mean? And then these last two are actually Christian's idea, which is so much fun. The first one is Get Baking. So this is a free choice for me, and whatever book that I choose to read, I have to bake something to match it. Like if I'm in the middle of the Lord of the Rings series, I could bake like, you know, the elven bread or something. But if I'm reading like Crescent City 3, like maybe I have to make something that like Bryce Quinlan would eat. I don't know, like it, but that's the idea, okay? And then this space right here, Baker's Review, with this little couple sharing some cocktails, is Christian's idea, and I'm so stoked that he even thought of this, let alone like put it forth to me to do. But we would choose a book together, we would read it, and we would do a review video together of the book that we read. So that's really fun. And then we get to jail. And this was the first space that I knew I wanted to make. I wanted to call it the Weaver's Cottage, because like Feyre being tossed into the Weaver's Cottage to retrieve a ring that she really doesn't want to have to do and be there for, I too will be stuck inside the Weaver's Cottage, which means that I cannot continue on with the game until I have finished a book that I've already started from this year. And I think my Goodreads says that I've started like 24 books and I haven't completed them. So I have to complete one of those before moving on. And this space is always going to remain open. So even if I make it around the board a few times, there's always a possibility that I can land back in the Weaver's Cottage. Okay, the very first row that I made is the last one, because this is the one that I had all the ideas for right away. And we're moving into what I'm calling the Fae Forest here with the green. So these are all Fae books. So the first one is reading a book with an alcohol, that's so hard to say, coined by Bryce Quinlan. I'm reading a book with an alcohol in it. Okay, if you've read any of the Crescent City books, you know what that word means. And of course I put some lipstick, some rosé, and some cookies to just give like that je ne sais quoi alcohol bougie feeling. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, but that's what I'm going with. And then the next space is it has to have a fated mates or arranged marriage trope. Fated mates could be a bit tricky because usually it's a surprise in a book, but like most times I can guess whether or not a book will end up having a fated mates trope. And then this one is a prize for me. If I land on this space, I get to read any Fae romance that I want, and I also get to buy myself Starbucks. So look at the stickers that I added there. I'm obsessed with them. And then the fourth Fae Forest space is an indie author's work. I've been reading indie authors' books and buying them way more frequently this year than I ever have before. And I've collected a little collection. That makes sense. I have a little collection of books that I want to read, so I get to choose any one of those. And then we have my Fairy Loot space. This means that I have to read any book that has come in a Fairy Loot box. Again, have several I need to get through. And then we're moving into like the really fun ones, the last spaces, the most expensive properties. The first one says Open Me Mystery Book. So Christian has wrapped a book from my shelf. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked to see what's missing or anything. I'm not even actually sure if he's done it yet, but he has agreed to do it. So when this time comes, I will unwrap whatever he's wrapped and read that. Then we have Subscriber's Choice. So I have my little girl drinking coffee while working on her YouTube video sticker. So you will get to choose the book from my shelf that I read. And then I have a good one for me, which is a 5-star prediction. So I have just this cute cat sticker with a book. And then the biggest one is Treat Yourself. I have this really lovely shiny sticker. And that means I get to open up this envelope I made, and inside is a 20-pound note. So I get to go book shopping in London. I can go anywhere I want to go. And 20 pounds should get me a really lovely brand new hardback. Hardbacks range between $18.99 and like 25 pounds here in the UK. So I could get something within that range for that money, or I could get 2 standard paperbacks. Whatever I do, I will like do a reading vlog, going shopping, buying the book, reading the book, and whatever. And that is my very simple, straightforward Bookopoly board. I know that there aren't a ton of like rules and there aren't any punishments, but I think that's what I need. I don't want to be punished for reading because this is like what I do for fun in my spare time. So in January, I'm gonna roll some die. I have little Bellatrix here. I don't know why I pulled Bellatrix. I just love her hair. But I will just hop along, and I think what we'll do is cross off a space once I've already done it so that I can try to like collect the board, if you know what I mean. But I will leave the Weaver's Cottage open. Maybe I'll leave Fairy Loot open because I have so many Fairy Loot books I need to get through. I'm not sure. If you have any ideas to make this a little bit more spicy, please let me know. I don't want to do anything that's like punishing, like reading a book that I DNF'd. No, if I DNF'd it, it's in the past. We're leaving her in the past, if that makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a chess piece emoji down below in honor of, you know, playing a game. And I will see you in tomorrow's Bookmas Day 3 video very soon. Bye.